Hi everybody, thanks for stopping by to check out the latest from Sailing Emerald Steel. In this video we're going to be discussing how to properly size your propeller, and it's going to be a two-part video. In the first part we're going to be discussing how propellers are sized for a given boat, and in the second part we're going to share with you how we decided to vary from the standard practice, which increased our engine longevity and also our mileage per gallon of fuel. And before we get started, as usual, we'd once again like to thank all of you who took the time to leave a comment and a thumb up on our last video.
In the many years of cruising, talking to many cruisers, we found out that it's very common for people to know exactly what size of engine they have, but they have no idea what size of propeller, the size of it, and the pitch. Now, it is really not surprising because the majority of people buy their boats used or new. Engines are installed, the propeller is in it, so there is no really reason to worry much about it. But we believe it's very important to understand the sizing of your propeller, because our video will show you that by changing from the standard practice, we develop our own formula for calculating the propeller and actually increase the longevity of our engine and also consumption of fuel, as Susan said in the beginning of the video. And it worked for us very, very well, because by far the most of the people we talked to over these years, most of them after 20 years or so, they change their engine because their engine is already shot. And our engine, as you can see, over 30 years, still runs very strong without using any oil, without smoking at all, and has a full power and starting the first shot. So as you know, our engine is over 30 years old and has about 8,000 hours. We don't use the engine very often, but still after all these years we put some mileage on it. And here I want to show it to you how it starts easy, and also then it doesn't smoke, it doesn't use any oil. We are still very cautious about it because of the age, but we really never had any reason to doubt it. So now we're going to start the engine. I preheat the glow plugs, and now I started. That's how the engine runs. It starts on the first shot. Even being cold, it doesn't hurt. And we have on our engine over 8,000 hours. Actually, we don't know exactly how many, because there was a time when we didn't have an hour meter working. But estimation is 8,000 plus. You know, as they say, then a diesel engine is good for about 6,000 hours. The very first thing you have to know what kind of engine you will have for your boat, or the engine you already have, if it's sufficient for your boat. The rule of thumb is that for each 1 ton of the displacement of your boat, you should have a 3 to 4 horsepower. So say if you have a 10 tons boat, you should have roughly a 40 horsepower engine. So our example will be based upon 40 horsepower engine with a 30-foot water line and a medium to large displacement. So when you're talking about 40 horsepower engine, you talk about 1.25 inch shaft, which is a solid stainless steel. That is pretty much size for the type of engine. By the sizing of propeller, doesn't matter which kind of propeller you have to make a right sizing if you want to get optimum use of it. Now, only thing when you have a larger propeller is disadvantage, then you have a drag when you're a sailboat and you are sailing. But the truth is also this here, the majority of people have a lot of drag by not having the sail trimmed. Because if your rudder is off center at any degree, that is really a drag. So try to sail properly, so you have a minimum drag in your rudder, and then you find out then your drag of your propeller is really not as bad as some people think.
So there are several different types of propellers, the most common being the 2 and 3 blade fixed, the 3 blade being more efficient, feathering prop, and variable pitch propeller.
So to make it think simple, you can think of it as this here. Then the size of a propeller pretty much give you a push, and a pitch of the propeller give you a speed. Now a pitch of a propeller, think of it as a screw. So if you say, for example, have a 6-inch pitch propeller, that means that when a shaft turns 1 time, it pushes your boat 6 inches forward. Now, naturally, because a boat is in the water, you have some slippage, which you also have to account for. And naturally, the light displacement boats have a much less of a slip than a cruising type of boat. So here we're discussing mainly about the cruising type. To determine the size of your propeller, they have a graph, and if it, as you can see here, on your right side, it shows your shaft RPM. On the left side, it's going to show it to your horsepower of your engine. In the middle, where across the lines, it'll give you a size of your propeller. Now, to find a pitch, you have to work with your water line to determine the speed of your hull, which will be determined by calculations.
Our example is based on a cruising sailboat with a 30-foot water line and 40 horsepower engine, 4,000 RPM with a 2-to-1 transmission, which will give you 2,000 shaft RPMs. The hull speed formula is the square root of the water line times 1.34. For example, the square root of 30 times 1.34 equals 7.34 knots. Add 30% for slippage equals 9.54 knots. 1 nautical mile equals 6,076 feet. Hull speed is 9.54 knots times 6,076 feet equals 57,965 feet per hour. Divide by the shaft RPM. 57,965 feet divided by 2,000 RPM equals 28.98 feet. 28.98 feet per hour equals 347.8 inches, and 347.8 inches divided by 60 minutes equals 5.8 pitch. So you'll need a 6-inch pitch for that propeller. Okay guys, so I guess that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed the video and got something out of it. Don't forget to stay tuned for part 2, where we discuss how we size our propeller, which increase the longevity of our engine and also the miles per gallon. But before we leave, we once again like to thank all of you that support our channel through Patreon and PayPal. We really appreciate your support, guys. Thank you so much, and we will see you all next time.
Bye-bye.